What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here. Also, proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. She is an actress, and she also is a co-host of the SEC Sports co-host. It's called SEC Stuff. She's one of four that's a co-host. Talking about SEC football, talking about also SEC basketball, and all things SEC. SEC stands for Southeastern Conference. Her name is Emma Rose Wagner. And we're going to talk to her about her why and bring her on and just have a good time and vibe with her for a little bit. So, without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Emma Wagner.
Hey,
Hey, Emma, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sending films and everything. So I
Got you.
don't know, but let's do
Okay.
it.
Okay, let's rock on. Let's rock on.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
So I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for coming on my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. I want to reiterate to you why I wanted to bring you on here. I know that you are a big time SEC fan. You went to the University of Alabama. You do a absolutely, you do a great job, right, of hosting your show. How do you pronounce the show? Because it says Sessy stuff, but that don't. Is that the pronouncing of it?
You killed it, man. It's Sessie stuff.
Sassy stuff. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
'Cause, that just didn't sound right to me. Emma, it
No,
just didn't
you
sound
got it.
right.
It's a little inside joke. We're trying to make it catch on, but nobody is on the inside but us. So
I feel it. Okay, I like that though. But it's cool. And I listen. I've listened to your show, listen to your perspectives. You, Molly, Blight, you, and I'm missing one. But all you guys do a wonderful job of
thank
breaking down
you.
SEC games, SEC teams, and stuff like that. We definitely gonna get into some SEC talk because obviously the rankings just
Absolutely.
came out yesterday, so we're definitely gonna get into some talk about that. How's your week been going so far?
It's been good. I can't complain. I'm still full on turkey and stuffing and all of that. We're in those months where it kind of feels like we're just need to be on vacation at this point in time.
Absolutely. No
So
question about
we're
that.
all
I'm with
ready for
you.
the holidays.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay, well, with that being said, let me get started with the first question, as I always do with my guests here on the Work Hard Play Hard podcast, and it's simple. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models growing up? Did you have any inspirations growing up? What is your why of getting into not only sports and talking about it, but also acting? Because I know you're an actress as well.
Well, I've always loved the art of storytelling. They've been doing it since the beginning of time, in different ways. Everyone gathered around the campfire and told stories. And that's just something I love. I did it since I was very young. I would have my brother, I would inscript him to perform in Christmas shows for my family that I would direct, star in, choreograph the whole nine yards, and he would be my little puppet that I moved around as I needed. Um,
Mhm.
so I always loved storytelling. And then so I got into theater and all that. I got into dance. So the art of telling stories in different mediums. And then I moved into film as well. But one thing I've always loved is football. It was mostly NFL for a while until I did find my home in Alabama. And then I drank the Kool-Aid in college football as my whole identity now.
All
Um,
right.
Oh yeah, but there's so many stories to tell from players to teams to in the game, but like the fight that they have throughout. Like you watch the Georgia Tech game and you see Georgia Tech dominate for 3 quarters, Georgia bring it back in that fourth, and then 8 overtimes. I was sitting there on the couch being like, oh, I love football. I love college football because is, it means so much more, and especially in the SEC. So that's why I do it. I want to tell stories. I want to tell people stories. It's a beautiful thing about acting as well. You have these beautiful characters. I love characters and stories that deal with the human condition, especially because that's what we all live through every single day. And it's cool as well when those stories are told in other worlds, like in fantastical universes, but the human condition that connects us all is the same. So that those are my favorite stories to tell, and sports is a great way to tell those stories. So that's why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, very, very good answer, Emma. No question about that. Uh, totally correlates with the why that I have too. I love sports dearly. Being a sports journalist, I'm able to do high school, do college, now pros because I'm on a freelance level. So now I'm doing professional as well. So it's
Awesome.
amazing. I love storytelling, no question about it. Love in print form as well. I want to ask you, University of Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, go roll tide, no doubt about it. Were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to University of Alabama?
So that's funny because I wanted to do musical theater in college, with and also theater, but musical theater was a big passion of mine, and it still is to this day. But in I wanted to stay near my family. My family were all from Atlanta, so Alabama is one of the only musical theater programs of its kind in the Southeast. So that was already on my radar. It wasn't on there for football. Alabama does this amazing tour and they
Mm,
suck you in to the culture, to the school, to everything about it. And I know it's only gotten better. They just revealed their Walk of Champions. This, you should go look it up. It's beautiful. It's like this virtual reality, you in the stadium, cheering with the fans, seeing a game being played, and it just draws you in. So the tour hooks anybody who goes on it. I've talked to lots of people, and they said once they go on that in-person tour, there's no other school. It is the ultimate college experience, which is what I wanted. In addition to having like a liberal arts degree, I wanted that college experience. And so that gave me the best of both worlds. And then, of course, it gave me a great football team.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been to Tuscaloosa, that is all that's there in
Yep.
Alabama. No question about it. Those traffic is crazy for the Saturday football games. There's no question about it. I've been there for sure. I'm a huge musical theater person myself. I love
Really?
musicals. Yeah, I've acted in two in
Okay.
high school. Les Miserables was my very first one, and then also I did High School Musical. But
Okay. What were
I
your
mean,
roles?
my role for Les Miserables was four. It was four different roles. So I was
Okay.
the prisoner in the very first scene, the look down, if you know about that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I also had to drink with me solo. That was one of my parts as well. And I was one of the
Wonderful.
ones that ended up getting shot.
It
That
happened. A lot of people
right,
did.
right. In
There's
that
no
play,
more.
absolutely. So no question. I was Chad in High School
Oh,
Musical.
cool, cool.
So yeah, absolutely. So I love um my top three musicals before I get into the next question. My top three musicals are Wicked, Hamilton, and Hairspray.
I
Those are
love
my
it.
those are
So
my
did
three
you see
favorites.
the Wicked movie?
Not yet. I will be seeing it probably next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know that's real specific, but they have a special here on Tuesdays for
I
theater
love it.
movies, so I love it. I'm going to check it out, no question.
It's great.
What about yourself?
Oh gosh, such a hard question. So, in no particular order, um, probably got to put Wicked in there,
Okay.
and then maybe Sunday in the Park with George, which is Sondheim.
Yeah.
And then another deep cut, which is Next to Normal. It is not a happy show by any means, but it's an incredibly powerful show about the human condition, and about this family. So I suggest them, but they're both sad. So
Hey, that's okay. I'm very different, eclectic when it comes to all different kinds. I love all
yeah.
different kinds of musicals. I'm such a huge musical buff. I'm happy to hear that you said you was from Atlanta. That's where I
Yeah.
graduated from,
Oh,
Kennesaw State University.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
know that about that, so that's where I went to for sure.
Very
Um, I want to ask you some favorite questions, Emma, and you just give
cool.
me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Are you
Oh
with me?
gosh, I'm with you.
Okay, let's rock with it. Favorite meal you like to cook?
I like to cook. Oh, I don't like to cook. I can make a good pork chop and like roasted potatoes.
Mm,
So I can make
okay.
like that.
Well,
More of
Emma,
a baker.
if you're not opposed to having new friends like myself, please. I
Come on
certainly
over. Come on over.
I'm just saying, you know, because you named two things that I really like. Plus, you said you know how to bake.
I'm a
That's great.
baker.
I don't know if you like tacos or not. I haven't met
Love
anybody
tacos.
who hasn't, but I'm a huge taco person, and I can whip them up pretty good.
There you go.
That's
And
all.
they're so versatile. I don't know why you wouldn't like them.
Right? You know what I mean? Like corn or flour tortilla, doesn't matter. I'm huge in beef, but I like steak too. I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie.
I
Well, it is what it is on that. You know what I mean?
like it. I
Okay,
like
here we go. Favorite concert you ever attended?
Oh gosh. I just went to a concert from a band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and it was awesome. They have so many different genres of music. I know it sounds weird.
Yeah.
And then I went to see Noel Gallagher last year. He came to Amherst in Atlanta, and I'm a big Oasis fan, so I still need to get tickets for their US tour, but they're not coming to the South, so I'm gonna have to go to Chicago or something. But I'm a huge Oasis fan, so even seeing half of them was awesome. And then they also coupled it with Garbage, the band. And so
Mhm.
having those two bands, I was like blown away. So that was really cool.
One of my favorite songs from Oasis is Wonderwall.
Uh-huh.
That's one of my favorite songs of theirs.
Oh,
No question about it. Please come to the Midwest. Come to the Midwest. We would love to have you over here. No question about
I'm
it.
coming up. I need to see my boys reunited if they're not feuding by the time the concert comes.
That's true too. That is very
Yeah.
true. I like that. I would say my favorite concert was probably I'm a huge R&B person, so Alicia Keys.
Okay.
No,
That would
that
be
was
a
pretty good.
great concert. I've never seen
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, she was amazing live, no question. And then obviously Drake versus Lil Wayne. I definitely like my hip hop now. I
Yeah.
definitely like that for sure.
That's where the
And
Hamilton comes in.
no
Yeah.
question about it. You know what I mean? And listen, Kendrick Lamar and SZA just dropped a new concert tour. So they're gonna be going on tour and they're coming here to Minneapolis where I'm at, but they're also coming to Atlanta. So maybe you might want to check them out. Who knows?
I
You know what I mean?
definitely would.
Absolutely, no
I go
doubt.
see anything. I go see anything and everything.
I love that about you, Emma. I
Yeah.
love to hear that. Okay, here we go. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
My favorite place in the world is London. I love the culture, the history. I love how green it is while still being a city. I'm a city person, but it's so green. And Atlanta reminds me of that in some ways, but you can walk everywhere in London or you can catch the tube in London, so it's much more accessible.
Hmm.
And I love the culture there. So that's my favorite place I've ever been to. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll live there. Who knows? It's a little expensive.
It is a little expensive out there, as I've heard. I have not went out there yet, but it is on the bucket list. If you would have asked me this question 2 months ago, I would have told you Cabo San Lucas.
Okay.
However, because I went on a cruise last month with my dad and stuff like that, is now Jamaica. Jamaica has been my favorite place to go. I love to travel. Within the U.S., I love to travel. I've been to so many different states, but
Yeah.
travel out of the country is like none other. It's
Mhm.
none other to do that.
You
So I
feel like you're in a
finally
whole new world and it's
Oh
nice.
my gosh, Emma, absolutely. And the places we went to Mexico, to the Cayman Islands, to Jamaica, I'm hooked. I got my passport earlier this year, so I'm good for the next 10 years. So I'm
There you
definitely
go.
going to
Where's
travel.
your next location? Where are you going next?
Pro I want to go to Honduras.
Okay.
I like to go to Belize, Puerto Rico,
Cool.
Dominican Republic.
So you want to go
Um,
fast.
I definitely want to do that next, but right now I'm talking to a good friend of mine that she's going to actually lead the tour. She used to be in Deal or No Deal. She used to be
Oh,
one of the girls with the suitcases in the
cool.
TV show Deal or No Deal, and she is inviting me to Greece. So that is actually something that I'm
My dream.
right, right. So
That's
I'm
bucket list
trying.
for
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Um,
me.
We're sports people, so I gotta ask you a sports question.
We can
Favorite
talk about
sport?
sports all day long. Favorite sports,
I
college
know it. I know it. I know it. And we're gonna get into a lot of that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Favorite sport you like to watch on TV. Favorite sport you like to attend in person. They could be the same sport.
It's college football.
I
It
love it.
is. Like my dad's English and we love Premier League football, soccer, here in America. But he came to an Alabama game with me and he was like, this is the closest you get to how much the fans are invested, singing the songs, getting in the game. He's like, there's nothing like Premier League football, but this is the next best thing is college
Right.
football. So it's something special. It really, really is. So that's why I love it so much, and that's why so many people love it so much as well.
Absolutely. No question. College football is amazing. I'm a Bulldogs fan, as I told you before. I still remember the tour pass
Yeah,
in the Georgia Dome. That
I was
broke my heart. Yeah,
there.
broke my heart. No
Yeah,
question about hold on, you was there?
I was there.
So okay, so do you remember this? Do you remember security people that's like CSC that be on the
Yeah.
field? Yeah, so that was me in the Georgia Dome that particular night.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was me. I was doing event security. Still going to Kennesaw State University. I was
That's
happy
so
to be
cool.
there. I was so happy, but I was so crushed when that passed. I was like,
I know.
no, you did not let this man complete a third
You
or
didn't
what?
let this
Second and
man walk right in here and take off
right.
victory.
Right. It was second and 26. We had just sacked Tua. We just sacked him for a huge loss. It was like a fourth and or not fourth, but second in like a subway football.
31,
Like I
yeah.
don't get it. But nonetheless, I
I had
digress because
fun.
I know you did. We did get our revenge a couple years
Yes,
later with
yes.
Justin Bieber. So yes, I get
But
it.
that's cool. Our paths crossed.
Yeah, like we was there at the same time. That's amazing. I'm a huge foodie. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you're still located in Alabama or if you're in Georgia or not, but
I'm back in Atlanta, yeah.
so you back in Atlanta now, which is
We
great
got
because
food. We got food.
yes, you do. No question about it. I definitely know about Atlanta, Georgia, being there many years. But I want to hear
Yeah.
from what is your favorite restaurant that you'd like to go to?
Oh my goodness. There's so many good ones.
There is.
That's a hard question. I have this restaurant, it's outside of Atlanta called Cafe Effendi. Really, really good Persian and Mediterranean food, which is
Yep.
one of my favorites. I also can't remember the name of the place, but I'm a big jerk chicken lover. So
Oh,
anything,
girl, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be
oh,
good, yo.
so good. So any place that does jerk chicken, and we have great jerk chicken in Atlanta, so like it's any place here. Um, I'm happy. So that I will always say, look up jerk chicken, find a
Mhm.
place and go because you can find a million great jerk chicken places here in Atlanta.
There's no question about that. Obviously, when I come back to Atlanta, Emma, we definitely gonna have to hang out. We're gonna have to do something, okay? I would love to and talk some football and just have a good time,
Yeah.
okay? Good vibe. You seem like a wonderful woman to be around. But one of my favorite places is called Eats.
Mm,
Um, Downtown. They serve you these big old plates of like
okay.
pasta or whatever plate you want to get. It is so good. Eats is so good. I mean, you have the normal stuff that people would say, like Chick-fil-A,
Right.
Waffle House. That's pretty normal because you see it on every block almost in Atlanta. But there is some places like Maggiano's, probably is one of my favorites. I love that place. I do love jerk chicken, very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what you're talking about going there. But Maggiano's and Cheesecake Factory, especially the
Yeah.
one in Dunwoody. That one is pretty good.
That one's top tier. All the other ones mid.
Yeah, you're right. Say less. Say less. You already know what it is. You already know. And guess what? There's a Maggiano's right next to it. If you ever been to the Dunwoody one, there's Maggiano's right there, and then there's Cheesecake Factory, and they have Perimeter Mall, which is right there too. So in the Dunwoody area. So
Chris
yeah.
is telling you guys where to eat. Come on to Atlanta.
You come on now. Definitely come on. I know I'm coming. My mom and my uncle and my aunt are still there. So I still visit them in time. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's get into your day to day. Day to day for a journalist, Emma, is different. We don't cover the same games, write the same stories every day or every single week. Sometimes our hours are very long, especially when you're a freelancer, because sometimes you don't even get no work for a while because it's
Yeah.
just nothing that's going on.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your day to day with not only doing the Sessie show, but also acting. Like, how are you getting roles? What kind of roles have you done? And like, what is your day to day with that involved with that?
Every day is different, quite frankly, though I still have my routine. I do lots of things. I take it from my mother where she's always needs to be busy. She always needs to be working on something and doing something. So I have so many jobs. I wear so many hats, and they're all creative in a way, which I'm happy about. But of course, I do acting. I do have an agent here in Atlanta, who helps me get auditions and all that sort of stuff. I also self-submit. I also have a couple directors. My brother's also a director and film writer. I write as well. So we collaborate on the day to day. This past Monday, I actually had a film premiere for something that just came out a couple weeks ago. I was in a film festival. We won Best Drama. So these things like happen occasionally and you're really excited about it. It's not always a daily occurrence, but every day you're an actor, every day you're a storyteller. So you can
Right.
learn something new in this craft every single day. You can write something new every day. So I always make a point to do something, even if I don't have something right in front of me in this field. I also work for a stylist. I do her social media management, her inventory. I do all of the background stuff for her. It's really fun for me. I also work for an acting teacher with her social media management as well as helping her manage her class. And then I do Sessiestuff, which I literally spend like all day Saturday just sitting there watching football, taking notes, getting ready to do the show, and then we tape pretty early Sunday morning and then I edit. So it's kind of every day is different. But I have lots to do every single day, as you can tell.
Yeah, that is definitely a full plate. I mean, hell, I thought I was busy. I'm nowhere near to what you're doing. That's for sure. That is for sure.
I
But I love
enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely, and you're very good at it. There's no
Thank
question
you.
about it. What is the film I should check out that you was in? I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, no, so it's in festivals right now. They have this thing with festivals that you can't release it to the public or else you can't be up for like awards and this competition and everything. So they do
Okay.
the festival circuits, and then they can release it from there. But it's called The School Mistress. I played the school mistress. It's based on a Chekhov play, if anybody knows who Chekhov is. So it's not happy if you know what Chekhov is, but it does have humor throughout. And
Right.
I loved it.
Well, I'm sure you obviously are terrific at what you do. I'm sure
Thank
you're
you.
perfect in it. I cannot wait to watch that. Absolutely beautiful, without question. I will say that as well. No
Thank you.
question about that. You are very welcome, no doubt. I wanted to tell you this as a bonus because before I got to this next question, which is I had my first voiceover audition today.
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy because I have a couple friends that I keep in touch with through social media and also meeting some in Atlanta that has done some voiceover work as well. They said, "Hey Chris, you might want to think about doing this." And I never really thought about doing it, Emma. I really didn't. I'm just so into sports and writing
Uh,
and I love
you can
this.
do it all.
Right, right. And that's what they were telling me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and test the waters a little bit. And I did the as my very first audition, very first time. They had me read a Pringles chips crisp or Pringle pizza crisp script.
Uh,
I read that and I got a call back for them all.
that's awesome.
So I was
Well, you
like, yeah,
have like a nice deep voice, and I think for men that's kind of where they lean towards for voiceover
mm.
stuff. So you fit the market.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, it's just how I naturally talk, and ever since I was about 16 years old, because I used to be high pitched now. Because
Uh,
I used to sing a lot. I used to sing a lot, so I was really high pitched. Now more so of the baritone and tenor like. I
yeah.
still like to sing, but Do you do karaoke, by the way?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say something embarrassing. I got my Spotify Wrapped today, and it was like musical theater karaoke was my number one Spotify because I sing in my car. And so
Right.
I was like,
Me
that's
too.
embarrassing. Everyone's like, here's Taylor Swift, here's a really cool classic rock band. And I'm like, musical theater karaoke. So I didn't share that on any of my stories or anything, but
I
that's
understand.
yes. So I sing karaoke.
I love that. I love that, and I love that you shared it on here. I love that you
Yeah.
shared 411 with me. I appreciate
Oh
it. I
yeah.
feel
Oh
somewhat
yeah.
special. So that's
Inside scoop
awesome.
into
Awesome.
what
That's
I
so
do in my car.
That's awesome, Emma. I love that. I want to ask you about mental health and work life.
Uh,
Okay, these are two things that are very important in our industry, in any industry, really, but more so talked about now than ever. Mental health being something that, people get out of this industry for those reasons, right? Because
Absolutely.
mental health is being affected, and also their work-life balance, like we talked about before. Sometimes, you're working nonstop, you're working all day. Sometimes you just go, 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 and that doesn't align with a lot of people's work-life balance. Talk to me about how you keep your work-life balance, being, an actress, a writer, editor, pretty much. You edit films, all
Yeah.
type of stuff you're doing. Talk about how you keep that balance, but also keep your mental health strong so you don't experience burnout.
No, absolutely. And burnout is so real in any industry, and I would be lying if I say I never experienced it. The
Mhm.
acting industry especially has been pretty hard the last couple years between various strikes and kind of reworking the whole industry that it kind of feels hopeless at times, but that's when you have to put when that's when you have to get a better mindset of like, what can I do? Like, because there's the controllables and then there's the non-controllables. And again, I'm not going to say I'm perfect at any of this, but you really have to focus on what you can and cannot control. So, what I can do is I can write a script or write a couple pages of a script every day, or I can memorize some lines, or I can read a play. I'm actually a big book lover. So, if I'm not actively doing anything creative, I love to read. And that really settles me and it lets me escape into various worlds. I read typically fantasy because like I don't need to read about real life half the time. I like to escape, go somewhere new.
I
Um,
love it.
yeah, but it is incredibly difficult. I think the people you surround yourselves with is huge. Also, having people who understand what you're doing and how the time constraints may affect how much time you can spend with that person, but knowing that when you do spend time with that person, that it's meaningful. But no, I'm not perfect by any means when it comes to work-life balance. I try really, really hard. And like you said, it is so important nowadays with mental health and how much mental health is getting talked about. And it's incredibly important because it's so true and nobody used to talk about it. So I work on it every day. It is a daily, I have to remind myself daily that you can only control so much. You can only do so much in a day. If you're tired, listen to your body. Maybe you don't go work out this morning if you just want to sleep in. And so it's really the balance and moderation, like everything in life. You can't eat all of the chocolate, you'll get sick. So you have to like eat only so much in one day. And so that's it. It's reminding yourself that balance is everything and you have to feed yourself in different ways, which is why I wear so many hats. So I don't feel like even if I get burned out on one thing, I have something else keeping me passionate and motivated in some sort of way.
I love that. I love that answer. I really do, Emma. And it's so true. Uh, I also substitute teach.
Okay.
I don't substitute teach all the time, but I did get my sub teaching license last year for 3 years. And what I like to do, because now I'm in my 30s, what I like to do is tell my young boys and young girls who are high schoolers that you should try everything when it comes to being early age, right? Just try everything, not on just media, but just in life in general. This is your vibrant ages to just try things, do things. If you mess up, that's okay. It's just try it, before you say no to it. I also tell people, be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's kind of how I live my life. I live my
Yeah.
life that way. I like to be comfortable being uncomfortable because it really hardens your character, in my opinion, and it also allows you to deal with difficult things a lot better. Because, as you know, as an adult, um, difficult things happen.
No,
Difficult
I'm
things,
a big kid.
right, 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 and so am I. We all are, right? But
Yeah,
difficult things happen all the time,
correct.
and we should be able to deal with it. We should be able to have an optimistic kind of view about it. Even though something bad may happen, we try to flip that bad into a good. And I try to always tell people that not only going into the media industry, but in life in general. Mental health is okay to say that you're not okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially like with the age of Twitter, and
Mm.
like any sort of comments on YouTube. And so it's just like anybody can say anything behind a screen. And you have to know that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The people who you're close to matters. And like you said, what you tell to their students is try everything. I had this client who is with a stylist, and she was, I don't know, 50 something. She went back to school and got
Yeah.
her law degree. And then she
Mm.
was a lawyer up until she was in her 70s. And so it's like you can change at any age. You can do anything at any age. And if you're not satisfied, try something else. Or if you're
I
bored,
love that.
she was in real estate and she was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do real estate anymore. I want to be a lawyer. And so she went
Right.
to school. She was the oldest one there and she did it. And so whenever I think, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I think about her. And I always look at her and I'm like, no, she said, screw it. I'm gonna go be a lawyer. And I'm 50 years old and I'm the oldest one in the class. Who cares? And she was a phenomenal lawyer, from what I've heard. So,
Oh, yes. I
yeah.
love that. Now, this is a great segue though, Emma, because now I want to ask you about advice.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone that's maybe a postgraduate of college, high school, or maybe a little seasoned in age like myself, and might just be intrigued, want to learn about the media business or start talking about sports? What kind of advice would you give that individual?
Well, I mean, I didn't know I was going to be doing this in March. And then an opportunity opened up and I was lucky enough to be somewhere at the right time. And then this all kind of fell into place and we've been learning and growing and we're nowhere near perfect, but we're loving it. And I think that's the best thing about it is we're having so much fun doing it. And
Yeah.
our us having fun is only going to make it grow and grow and grow because fun is infectious. So I think it's always say yes and never close a door for yourself. So if there is an opportunity, go out and get it. But if there's not, go find things. Don't say no, I can't. No, this isn't possible. You go out there and you say, well, what doors are there? I'm gonna go open one and just see what works. Especially in this day and age when anybody can sit in front of a camera, film something, edit it up, put it out. Just do it. Like there's no reason why you can't. Again, like yeah, comments might be nasty. Like you might not be great to start out with. I mean, this has been a learning curve for me as well doing all of this, but now I'm having so much fun. I feel confident in it. And again, I didn't know I was doing this in March. And this is something I've always been passionate about. I have my favorite podcast that I listen to in regards to college football and everything. And now I'm like, now I am them. Now I'm doing it just like them. And I was like, why did I think this was never an option? It was always an option. I could have done this years ago. So I just think never close a door that you haven't even explored yet. So and always say yes. And just try anything. You can always back out of it later. But really give things a chance and give yourself a chance because you're not going to be perfect at anything at first. Like learning a piano, you're not going to be able to be Mozart on day one, but you're going to play chopsticks, and that's great, and that's progress.
I would say so. Phil Collins started as a drummer.
Yep.
Look what happened to him, right? No doubt about it. No doubt. Now, you said you started this in March. Wow. And then look at the progression that you've had since to
Yeah.
now. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I had no idea that you just started
Well,
this year.
thank you.
No question. No question.
I mean, but it's just like the passion, love, and drive, and then you figure out the mechanics. So I think
Yeah,
anything you're passionate about and you love,
yeah.
anybody can learn the mechanics of anything. So just put you into it. The mechanics will come. It just takes time. But
Absolutely.
if you love it, then do it. And you have one life. It's so short. Just do it.
And
19.
you have a great team of people that you work
We
with as
do.
well.
We do.
No question about that. You guys are all tremendous in giving your perception, opinions. I definitely listen to you guys. No question about it. Some of y'all give some hot takes now. I ain't gonna lie about that either. But that's okay. That's
That's
all
what we're
right.
here for. That's what we're here for.
That's
That's what
what
makes the
we're
sport
here
so
for. You know
great.
what I mean? So,
Twitter's going
but
crazy right now.
and see, I wanted to ask you about that because you mentioned it a couple times, in your answers. Do you get trolls for Twitter sometimes when you are giving your opinions? Like, how does that affect you in any way, or is it one of those that just brush off your shoulders like Jay-Z?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll listen to somebody and I'll be like, that's a silly take. Why would they say? I just don't comment that. It's not something I type up, but some people type it up, and that's
Right,
totally fine.
right,
Everybody has a right to their opinion. You can voice it however you want.
right.
Um, No, I laugh at it. Someone said on one of our TikTok videos that was clipped from an episode, Molly was talking about how she thinks Vandy's gonna wreck Tennessee and everything and blow them out in the game. And I'm like, why is that silly? They beat
Right.
Bama, they almost beat Texas, and this guy's like, sell your podcast equipment. I'm like, okay. It's just like, thank you. I'm like, and then there's other people in the comments being like, yes, we're not overlooking Vandy. Vandy's very scary. So it's just like everybody has an opinion. So
Right.
I'm not going to fault anybody for that. It doesn't bug me in any way. I find it funny. This is what we want. We want to have a conversation with people. We want to hear their side of the story. We're telling our side. We're telling
Mhm.
people what we see, how we're viewing these teams. They have a completely different view. That's the beauty, especially of college football, of how diverse the fan base is, how even if you know in your heart you're wrong, you're gonna defend your team. You're gonna
Right.
like die, ride or die for your team. And I love that. And I
Right.
want to see that passion. And if I say something against your team and you're like, no, I love it. Tell me what you think. This is the conversation I want to have. So no, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I love asking that question, Emma, because for me, when I see people, I'm a sports journalist, so I'm around sports all the time. Some of my friends really love to banter and they love to go at me, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. But then some of my friends like to just be saying off the wall hot takes just to get a reaction. So then
Exactly,
that
exactly.
balance. It's that balance of should I respond to this hot garbage or should I just laugh at it and just be like, you
Correct.
got it. You got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you
Yeah.
got it. But then sometimes I do want to give my 2 cents because anytime that you do work in sports and you're around sports and you have friends that's on the outside that doesn't work in sports, it's always funny how they want to just banter back and forth with
Yeah.
you and talk with you about, and they listen, they just know. They know it better than you do. You're not explaining it right. You're not doing it right. You're not writing it right. I've had that. I'm sure you've had that too. I'm sure you have friends outside of sports as well.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see those people on Twitter and the friends who go at you over your takes for
But
sure.
that's why we love it. That's what we're here for is we're telling a story. And at the end of the day, one team's gonna win and one team's gonna lose. One team like and the OU and Alabama game, nobody thought OU was gonna beat Alabama, especially by the margin they beat Alabama by. So if I
I
would have
wonder.
come on the podcast and said OU's gonna absolutely destroy Alabama, you know how many people would be ripping into me and being like,
I
no,
would.
that's wrong, that's wrong.
Mhm.
Exactly. And then they do it. And then so it's just like this is crazy. So it's that stuff's gonna happen like that in every
Love
single sport, and you never know. So
it. And
Vandy
that's the
could
beauty
beat
of it.
Tennessee. Vandy was beating Tennessee for a very
They
long
was.
time.
They
So
was.
it's fun though. I love it. I think it's
But
great.
and that's the thing. It's the beauty of it. That's why they lace them up. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
And then you have iconic moments,
Yeah.
which is a great segue to this next question. Because for me, one of the iconic moments that I was there at Sanford Stadium was the Josh Dobbs Hail Mary, the
Yeah.
UGA Tennessee Hail Mary to I believe it was Jawan Jennings that caught the ball.
Hmm.
That was a moment because literally that was the last play of the game, and it was like we thought we had that one, and I was there. I was literally on the field doing security at that time.
That's so cool.
Um, that was a great iconic moment. Another
Yeah.
one I'll give you before I ask you about a couple of what yours are. The pick six. Now, obviously, the pick six is an iconic
One of
moment.
mine.
I wasn't there, but I was actually at Georgia Tech because Georgia was playing Georgia, and I was doing
Yeah.
security at the time. And the pick six was just like, oh my gosh, they're really gonna do this. I know that's a moment that you might not want to talk about much, but that was a
No,
crazy
it's
moment. That was
good.
cool.
It's good. It's a story. It was brilliant. And though it came from our deepest, darkest rivals, but it was a
Yeah,
great sporting moment. I
right.
thought recently the Georgia Tech Georgia game 8 overtimes. That's a
That
great
was great.
sporting moment. These are the moments that you absolutely love and you live for. Me being at the national championship on the side that they were doing overtime in and watching what was happening right before my eyes, front row seats. That's a moment that I'll never forget.
That was
So
the first overtime game too in that
yeah,
championship game. First
yeah.
ever overtime. Yep.
It was crazy. And so that was my first national championship game. So like going to it. But yeah, so these are the moments that we lived for. I know Clemson and Bama had a close game, I want to say in 2015. Uh that was
Mm.
that was great. And yeah, you can't
That back to back Clemson Bama, those two national championship games, both
see.
of them were classic, instant classics, no question about it.
Yeah. And but you had to get through these monster teams that Dabo Sweeney had put together that miraculously appeared, had never been there before. And you're like, who's Clemson? And then they
Right.
came rocking around the corner. And it's like, these are our biggest rivals for the next 5 years, them in Georgia. And now, I mean, Dabo doesn't use the transfer portal. So what can you do? He could still might get
Uh,
playoffs, beat SMU. But
yeah.
yeah, that those years with Clemson and Bama, it was crazy.
Absolutely crazy. The prayer from Jordan Hare, which was Auburn and
Yeah.
UGA, the 4th and 18, if you remember that.
Mhm.
That damn near broke my heart. I could not believe what I was seeing. I couldn't. I was like, Lord have mercy. 4th and 18, and then they
Crazy.
called the prayer from Jordan Hare. And anybody that's ever been to an Auburn game, they go absolutely insane up there
Yeah.
in Auburn.
It's also
watching,
just
watching.
very scary there in at that stadium. And that's where 4th and 31 happened last year. That's another iconic moment for me because
Oh boy,
that
I
was
remember
that
that.
was Bama's season. I don't know. After losing to Texas, their whole life was on the line. And the year prior to that, they had lost to both Tennessee and LSU, missing the playoffs. And
Right.
so it was kind of like a, a return of this Alabama team led by Nick Saban. And we're like, please, please, we need to win these games. And then they won against Tennessee and then they won against LSU. And we're like, we're home free. We're going to the playoffs. It's going to be okay. And then you get into that Auburn game. Auburn been playing like crap all year. And then somehow they turn it on because it's in the spooky stadium that shall not be named. And crazy things happen there. And like, the year before, or when it was at that stadium before, they had like double overtime or something. It was crazy. So yeah, that 4th and 31 was when it happened, I said, okay, we're going, we're good. But
I
before
know
that,
you.
I
I
was
know
losing.
you. I know you was not that damn calm, Emma. I know you let out a yell. I know you let out a scream. I know you had
Oh
to let
yeah.
out. I know you had to let out something because
Nobody
no
needs to
one.
watch football with me. That's the
Why
problem.
not? Why
Because
not?
I'm crazy.
That's okay. I like crazy. If you don't mind me being there, I like crazy.
That's the thing. I yell, I scream, I jump up and down. Like, so I'm a Washington Commanders fan. And I don't know if you
God
watched
bless your heart.
the Chicago game this year with the Hail Mary. And we had been bad for so long. And we had this complete overhaul in management and coaching staff. And then, of course, our beautiful quarterback, the answer, Jaden Daniels. And he did that. And we were like, we're back. I don't care if we go to the playoffs. I don't care if we win a Super Bowl. We're back. This was what the fan base needed. The fan base has just been reignited in that one single moment. It was beautiful. And we thought the game was over. And then we were jumping up and down like crazy. And we're like, this is
Yeah,
Super Bowl. This is our Super Bowl right now.
yeah. The
Still
Bears
might
thought it
make
was
the
over.
playoffs.
The
I
Bears
do want
thought
to
it was
make
over
the
too.
playoffs.
Yes, yes, very true. I do think Washington will make the playoffs. Now they did have a little rough stretch before this past week, losing a consecutive game,
Yeah.
but they got right back on track. That all you need to do is play Tennessee Titans. You can get back on track real fast. That's for
Yeah.
sure. No question. I like that. I like those moments that you brought up. I want to talk about this rankings and this playoff. I think that we definitely should. Now, to me, I thought the committee did a decent job of putting the teams together. The game that I really would love to see is obviously we're SEC people. Yes, Texas and Georgia, but we saw that matchup already. Georgia beat the
Yeah.
brakes off of them. They beat them pretty good on the road in Texas. So that was a pretty good win. So what that tells me, Emma, in my mind, it solidifies that no matter of the result of that game, both teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely.
Um, the game I really would like to see though is Penn State and Oregon. And the reason
Okay.
why I want to see that particular game is Oregon hasn't really been tested outside of Ohio State. And Penn State, this is probably going to be the best team that they faced outside of Ohio State, and they lost to Ohio.
Very fair.
And I really would love to see how that Penn State team goes up against that Oregon offense and how they fare. This is the first time that Oregon's really been ingratiated in this Big Ten, playing in Indianapolis, playing indoors. They're the number one team, the only team without a loss the entire season in the playoffs, I should say. So that game I'm really looking forward to. But I have to talk about your Alabama because what they did to put Alabama in front of Miami is a travesty.
No.
Um, I knew it. I knew we was gonna get into this, and girl,
Who
let's get
has
into it.
Miami played? Tell me.
Okay, so I knew you was gonna go there, right? And mind you, the ACC is not as strong as the SEC. They're not. Alabama is 3-1 against top 25 competition. Miami has a lone loss. Okay, Miami's 10-2. Alabama's 9-3. Yes,
Yep.
there's four teams in the SEC right now in the playoffs. So yeah, the strength of schedule, Alabama got beat right there. But here's where the problem lies for me is that Alabama has lost two of their games to unranked teams. Now you could say Miami has done the same thing, but they also have more wins too with
Yeah.
Miami. Miami doesn't have a blowout loss. Alabama does to
They do.
Oklahoma. They've lost all now. The one thing that Miami also has working for them, and Alabama does, is both of these teams have lost on the road. They're undefeated at home, so that also makes a little bit of a difference. But it's hard for me to put a three-loss team in the playoff. They're the only three-loss team right now in the 12. And if you have Clemson that wins, it is a 99% chance that Alabama's not going to make it. They're going to get knocked out.
Okay. I
I think.
disagree. I
Talk to me.
I
Talk to me.
really think they're pretty locked in. I know the head of the committee came out and he was basically like, we don't have any more data points on these teams. Granted, the conference championships are the only things that we're really going to be
Mhm.
looking at from here
Yeah.
on out. SMU has 0 ranked wins. Their strength of schedule is like 77th. Alabama's is 17th.
Yep.
Um, Alabama has 3 ranked wins. They may have a win over the SEC championship come Saturday around 8 o'clock at night. We'll know that result. So overall, they have more wins against opponents that are stronger, against opponents that are going to be in the playoffs or that were contending for the playoffs. I think South Carolina is the hottest team right now. If I was gonna do this argument, I would do it between South Carolina and Alabama. South Carolina just went into Death Valley at Clemson and beat them, and
They
that's
did.
they've won their last, what, 6 games. So
Mhm.
this is the team I'm really looking at. I'm terrified of Norris Sellers. That kid is crazy.
Very
He
good.
has like Vaseline on him. He's slipping and sliding past all these defensive
Mhm.
players, but that is the team I'd be looking at. But of course, Miami has an argument here. So does Ole Miss.
I
Um,
was going to say Ole Miss now because they
Carolina.
also beat Georgia.
They did. They did. But we beat LSU and they did not. And South Carolina did not beat LSU. We went into Death
Uh,
Valley and we beat LSU. So that's over them. We have the
yep.
win over South Carolina. So I get where that stacked out. And
Yep.
Ole Miss beat South Carolina. So I understand those three. Miami, it's just you need to play harder games. I mean, I get it. I really do. And I really want every game to matter and everything to matter.
Mm.
I want these SEC championships to matter, but I don't know, they don't as much right now, which makes me sad because they were such a staple in college football. But this
Mhm.
is the new era we're in, and I really wish that they're saying they want to get the 12 best teams in. You'll never get the 12 best teams in when you're getting nods to SEC champions. If Clemson gets in, no shade to Clemson, they're a very good team, but are they the 12 best team? No. So
Wow.
they could
Wow.
get into the playoffs by beating
It,
SMU. And if that happens, then SMU just got beat by a 3-loss team that lost to South Carolina and Georgia, and Alabama beat South Carolina and Georgia. So that's where I would put them in.
and you have legitimate argument about SMU. There's no question about it. SMU in trouble. They lose, they're in trouble.
I think
Danger.
we're in trouble. And I'm not saying it's like a straight, I'm 99% sure. I'm about
Right.
50% sure. Like it could go either way. But
Right.
if I know my committee, the committee in Bama are like this. We're best. They're gonna put us in. We see what they did last year with Florida State.
Yeah, we
Um,
did. That
yeah,
was
with
that was a
last
travesty too.
and come on, where they have us ranked right now, which is 11, would have us playing Notre Dame. Who wouldn't want to watch Notre Dame
Oh,
versus
sure.
Alabama? That is a
Sure.
TV game that gets the primetime spot. That is the marquee right there, Notre Dame, Alabama. I
Okay.
also like that as a Bama fan because Notre Dame really hasn't played anybody. And then I would play the ACC champion next. And I'm like, I love playing the ACC. The SEC does well against the ACC. So then we're in the semifinals.
Yep.
Granted,
You
Bama still has to play these games. I thought Oklahoma was going to be cakewalk. It wasn't because they fell apart mainly because of Jalen Milroe.
that
Alabama's
was a bad loss.
is higher than anybody else's. Alabama's floor is embarrassing. So,
No, no question. No
yeah,
question. Listen, you like I said, you have a great argument with SMU. You can't put Ole Miss past Bama because Bama beat Ole Miss, if I'm not
no, we
mistaken.
didn't play,
They
but
didn't play them?
we didn't play them, but they lost to LSU and we beat LSU by
No,
a
no.
large
Did I
margin.
say Ole Miss? I said South. I meant South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. Yeah,
25,
we beat South
28,
Carolina.
25. If I remember that, that was the score of the
Yeah,
Bama.
27-25. Yep.
Yes, that was the score of that game. So you can't put South Carolina past Bama. If you're
Nope.
going to put Bama in, South Carolina has to be out. Ole Miss has to be out.
Yep.
The problem is, what do you do with the Big 12 championship? Now you have an 11-2 team that could be a Big 12 winner. One of those two teams is going to finish 11-2, and they're going to be Big 12 champions.
Yep.
How can you explain not having them in the top 12?
It's
One of those
strength of
two.
schedule again. It's who you play throughout the year. I think if you really want to put in the 12 best teams, you put in the 12 best teams. The 12 best teams might have more losses than you, but that just comes with the territory of playing harder teams every week, of going to these more dangerous stadiums with these fan bases that are known to rattle teams. Honest, like when Bama went to Rocky Top, they got their top rocked. Like this is not an easy place to play. That first drive
That,
they
that
had.
wasn't a bad loss, Emma. That wasn't
No,
bad.
it's a very good loss. It is a very good loss, but I'm saying this is you're going into these hostile environments in the SEC that are so much harder to play in somewhere in the Big 12. So it is exponentially harder in the SEC. And I know everybody hates SEC people saying that, but it's true. It really is true. I mean, you look at Clemson, who's played two SEC teams this year, and they were not able to pull out a win. They got destroyed by Georgia the first
No
game of the year.
question.
And I know you learn and you grow, and I love that. And I love seeing teams and players grow throughout the year. Like with South Carolina, they are so dynamic. And if they were doing this 2 weeks earlier, they would be in the playoffs right now. So it's a matter of timing. It's a matter of how you are, like health wise, when you play a certain team. Like when Texas played Georgia the first time, Quinn Ewers was hurt. He's
Yes,
still
you
hurt.
were.
He now has an ankle injury. He
Yep.
had his oblique injury before, I believe. And so he wasn't great. And also Georgia put up a great defensive scheme. You see where they shift after the ball snap. So they're great at rattling Quinn
They're
Ewers. They
disguising.
figured out
They're
how to
disguising.
rattle Quinn Ewers. And if they can do that again, they're gonna win. So that matchup might be set in stone, or Texas might be able to open up the run game and win. But that's what it is. It's like who's coming to play, who put up the best scheme. Kirby put up the best scheme that day. Kirby knew what he was going to do to beat Texas, and he did, and they executed, even though Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions. So,
Oh boy.
yeah, these are the things that you have to look at when you're watching these games. Miami has zero defense. They have zero defense, and I know they've won those games. They somehow pull out a win. They've had a couple questionable calls go their way to pull
Yep.
out wins. I don't think their record speaks for their strength of their team. It's just like Florida State last year. It's sad but true. But when you lost Jordan Travis, your team is dead. It really is. They were not
It
going to
wasn't.
contend. It's
Yeah.
not the same. And so you have to look at the team as a whole as well if you really want to make these playoffs something special, especially because you're giving nods to these conference champions that maybe wouldn't have been in there if you just ranked it straight.
And so here's my argument with Alabama.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't think that they should make the playoffs outside of the three losses and all this, that, and the third. Because you're right. Strength of schedule matters. No question about that. You're absolutely right. They play in the toughest conference. But in my mind, their two losses is worse than Miami's two losses.
And that's totally fair. I can't
That's
disagree with that.
that's
Yeah.
where you gotta met to me in my mind. That's where you gotta measure it because if you're measuring conference wise, they don't match up because Miami is a lesser conference. ACC is a lesser conference. But if you're measuring it towards the body of work of the losses, the wins, and wins as well, because Alabama is 3-1 against top 25.
Yep.
I definitely understand that. Miami's 0-1. They only had one game against top 25. I totally understand that. But the Vanderbilt loss and the Oklahoma loss is awful.
Well, Vandy has
Vanderbilt.
proven to be a good team.
Now hold on.
I
Now
ride and
Vanderbilt. Wait a
die
minute,
with
Emma.
Diego Pavia.
Wait a minute. I'm down with Diego too. But
I love
Vanderbilt was
Diego.
500. They were 3-4 after they played each other. They were less than 500,
Yeah.
and they did not score 40 points the rest of the season.
No,
They didn't even get to. I don't even think they got to 30, let alone 40.
I'm not
They
saying
put up.
we
Go
played
ahead.
well. I'm saying
Go
I
ahead.
love Diego.
Oh, I love Diego.
Diego's
Oh yeah.
cool with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Diego's. Yeah. Diego's the man.
Oklahoma, that was embarrassing. But there was that horrible call on Ryan Williams. And you cannot tell me that if that touchdown would have counted, because who illegally touched? Nobody did. So if that touchdown had counted, you can't tell me that the momentum wouldn't have swung back in Alabama's favor and they couldn't put up the points to win that game. They absolutely could have. We will never know. I'm not saying they would have, but
Sure.
they could have. And I'm not
Sure.
saying that again as a data point that they should be looking at by any means, but I don't know. This is going to be very messy this year. I always thought it would be. People were going to be unhappy. You're going to have four teams potentially, no, four teams definitely unhappy between Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Bama, and SMU.
And the
Or,
Big 12 champion. Whoever's the Big 12 champion is going to be upset. There's no question about it because they're going to feel that you got the other three in there as far as the power conferences. How
yeah,
do you don't have the Big 12 in
that's
there?
fair.
Not
And
one
that's
Big
totally
12
fair
team.
too. Yeah, absolutely. So people are going to be upset. And this is a learning year in a lot of ways. Like we thought, I think we need 16, quite frankly. But if you wanted to expand it, I liked the four. I thought the four was great, but whatever. So we're in 12 now. 12 is going to have problems as well. And especially in the first year that it's happening. So they're going to have to work out the bugs. They're going to have to learn how do we actually rank these teams. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is a television show. And Arizona State does not have the same clout that Alabama does. Indiana does not have the same
No,
clout as Alabama, nor does
they
Boise
don't.
State, nor does SMU. These teams do not have the same clout. And I understand they absolutely deserve to be there. They should be there. But when you're looking at ratings, Notre Dame versus Alabama, that is ratings. So you
Of
have
course.
to have games like that in there. And you will. You absolutely will. You're going to have Tennessee probably go to Ohio State. That is going to be
Yeah,
an amazing game to watch. But then
without
there's
question.
other games in there that they need to make viewers turn into as well. So at the end of the
I,
day, it's a TV show, and I don't like that because I just love the art of the game and watching the story play out on the field. But that's what
right.
it is at the end of the day. So yeah, I get it. People are going to be upset, but I really do think Alabama's locked in at 11. So.
Wow. We definitely agree to disagree on that one. No
You might
question
be right.
about
You
that.
might be right,
And
but
you might be too.
I
You
know the
might be too.
CFP.
You might be too, no question. I just like I said, I think is one thing you are right about though. This is a trial and run period. No question about it. Every year, the problem is people keep thinking that they're going to try to get this down pat, and every year is different. So you're never going to have a down pat type of system to where you judge because schedules are different every year, teams are different every year, situations are different every year. This year, you may see a college football playoff that does not have a Big 12 team in it. You may see a three-loss team in it or a couple three-loss teams in it. You may see a team in Miami that historically is very bad on defense. They're awful on defense, and they lost to Syracuse and Georgia Tech. But the Georgia Tech loss is not as bad because look what Jay did to Georgia. Took them to 8 overtimes. So
That's the
now
thing
it's
is
not.
I think if Georgia Tech beat Georgia Miami, we would be saying a completely different story right
We
now.
would be. We would
But
be.
they didn't, and you have to win those games, and Georgia Tech didn't win that game. So that's where I'm like, well, then it doesn't matter for Miami. Miami almost lost three or four of those games, and they had
Did
some calls
Cal,
their
Louisville?
way.
Yeah.
Yep, and they had calls go their way right at the end, and Twitter was blowing up saying Miami's handed this one again, Miami's handed this one, but that's just how the cookie crumbled in those games, and now you've lost two. The
Okay.
committee's not gonna, they're gonna look at those now and they're gonna be like, well, they almost lost that one and they almost lost that one and they're already a two loss. And if all these other calls didn't go their way, then what would have happened? There's a lot of things. And of course there's bias. There's bias in every aspect of everybody's life outside of college football. So of course there's bias inside of college football. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. This year is not gonna be perfect by any means. People are gonna
Yep.
be upset across the board and
Yep.
hopefully next year they have a better plan of how to execute. Now, this model is only good through 2026. I'm
Right.
curious to see how it's going to change if they're going to get rid of those automatic bids for SE for conference championships. I'm wondering if they're going to get rid of those or incentivize those in a different way. It could go either way. It could say
I
exactly
think
the
it expands. I think it expands to 16.
yeah,
I
see
think it
again,
does.
16, and maybe they're going to say, no, we're going to rank it straight through, and the 12 best teams get in. If you play in your championship game, if you win, it's good, and if you lose, it's bad. Too bad. You don't get an automatic bid. We don't know
Let
what
me ask, let me let me
happened.
ask you some quick hitters. Let me ask you some quick hitters before I get to the next question because I love this conversation we're having. Does SMS does not SM does SMU automatically get in if they win? In your
Yes.
opinion? Okay. If had South Carolina beat Alabama, would they be in the playoff?
If South Carolina beat Alabama, absolutely, they'd be a two-loss team in the SEC. So they'd be in,
Got
yeah.
you. Okay. Last one. Are these six teams a lock? Penn State, no matter what the outcome is Saturday. Penn State, Oregon, are those two a lock?
Yeah.
Okay, Georgia, Texas,
Yep.
Tennessee, Ohio State.
Yep.
Okay, so we're in agreement. Those six teams to me are a lock,
Mhm.
regardless of what it is. Now they got to figure out the jumbo of the other six teams. I
Correct.
also would put Indiana as a lock for
I would say
11-1.
Indiana's a lock as well. Bama, if SMU wins, is a lock. If SMU loses, then it gets a little questionable. I still think they would get the bid over SMU, but that would put a little, that would
It
make it
would.
a little shaky. Then I
It
wouldn't
would.
really know which way it would go. I would think they put in Bama just based on the resumes alone and the strength of schedule, and who would do better in these games. I would think they'd put in Bama, especially if they lost to a three-loss Clemson who lost to two teams that Bama beat. So that's kind of where I go back to every single time.
And my
I was
last my
watching.
last one was Clemson. If regardless if Clemson wins or not, they're out in your mind.
No, if Clemson wins, they're in because they get the automatic bid. So that's their
Okay.
lifeline. So they're good. If they win that game, you win and you're in. So Clemson's good to go. And
So
you know
wait a
what?
minute. Hold on. So the Big 12, what if they win?
They're in.
Well, who's out? So who's out then? Somebody got to go out.
It's who they're playing. So they not there's only going to be one Big 12 team. I think there's only going to be one ACC team. If you win your conference champions, it's a five conference championships, they're in. So you just win that game, whether you're ranked high or not. Clemson, I think they're like 18 right now or 19. I don't know where they are, honestly, but they're up there. They dropped. So
Right.
they win their game, they're good. So
Okay.
and then they go. So
Now
that's
both of the Big 12 teams are out of the playoffs right now. So that's what I'm saying. If Clemson wins and the
yeah.
Big 12 wins, who are the two teams that get knocked out? That puts those two in. Who do you think the two teams? Because to me, it's Bama and Miami.
So with the Big 12 and Clemson, whoever wins those, or Clemson, the ACC and the Big 12, whoever
Yeah.
wins those games, they're getting a bid in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you have your five teams that get in. So the SMU, I think, would be out, and then you put Alabama in.
Okay, so
Yeah.
SMU. I got you.
But
Okay.
if SMU wins, there's no question. So if
Yeah,
we're gonna either have a really easy day on Sunday or like a little, oh, what's gonna happen? And then Twitter's gonna blow up.
I know. Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that. Now we've come to the portion of the podcast now that we're going to do this or that. So it's a
Okay.
little interactive game that I do where I throw some things at you and you get to choose this or that. So Emma, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Now we've been vibing all show long. You've been absolutely amazing. That's pretty much an understatement, Emma. But we're gonna keep this thing going. Hopefully. First question. Which chicken place are you choosing? Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
Girl, you on point like a period. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we are reviving. Here we go. Chicken wing flavors. Which one are you choosing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
I like lemon pepper.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
I like wet lemon pepper.
Okay, you like to get a little messy. I like that. Do
Yeah.
you like your wings bone in or boneless?
I like bone in.
Okay, give you a wet wipe and go to work. I like that. Like that. I'm a huge Taco Mac person. I don't know if you Taco
That's
Mac,
where
but
we get it. We get our wings from Taco Mac.
okay, you already know. Say less.
Oh
I'm with
yeah.
you. Okay, here we go. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or baseball?
Basketball.
Okay, that's my girl. I'm with you. Girl, you was on point tonight. I'm like that. Here we go.
Well,
Which
Bama's good at basketball now too.
oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. That's very true now. Okay. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Oh gosh. I like to bowl
Are you good?
with bumpers.
Okay. Well, listen, it's been fun.
You sent it back.
No, I'm not a yeah, no bowling. No bowling. That's okay. That's all right though. You can't have it all. Okay, you can't have it all. It's
No.
okay. I can't skate, so there you go. I
There
can't
you go.
skate, so it's all right. These next four have to do with music concerts you
Okay.
rather attend. Okay, so which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Probably Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Which I'm with you on that. I love that. Which music concert would you rather go to? J. Cole or Lil Wayne?
Oh gosh. Probably Lil Wayne.
You sure?
Like, yeah, it seems like a fun time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely would be fun. Definitely. Okay. Which music concert would you rather go to? These are two of my favorite artists.
Oh
Luke
gosh.
Combs or Morgan Wallen?
Maybe Luke.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
I love
locking
both of them.
it in.
I love both of them. I do.
Okay.
I do. They're great. They're really good. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Lady A or Zach Brown Band?
Lady A.
Okay. Okay. That's probably the first one that we have disagreed upon on this or that.
I'm sorry.
Because
I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's all right. Lady A is good. They're good, but I love me some Zach Brown Band. Chicken
Yeah.
fried. Come on now. We don't like chicken fried. Come on. So, all right, here we go. Do you like desserts?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna give four categories of desserts. You have to choose one of these you will never eat again. Okay? All right, here we go. First one is cake. Next one is candy. The third one is cookies. The last one is ice cream. Which one are you choosing?
Candy.
I
That was
knew it.
easy.
I knew it. I knew it. What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh gosh. I like peanut butter ice cream. I like chocolate chip cookie dough. I like
Me
any
too.
ice. That's probably my favorite dessert. Especially in
Yeah.
the South, it's hot here. So what's better than ice cream?
You ain't lying about that. It's pretty damn cold here. There's no question about it in
Yeah.
Minnesota. But I like cookies and cream. The Briars cookies and cream or Mayfield, either one of those.
Yeah.
Do you like potato chips?
Yes.
Okay, same format. I'm gonna
Okay.
name four brands. You have to choose one of these you'll never eat again. So here we go. First one is Lay's. The second one is Ruffles. The third one is Pringles. The last one is Doritos. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
I could probably get rid of Lay's because Ruffles, I like a Ruffle better, and it's basically a Lay's chip but ruffled.
I've heard that like several
Pringles,
times.
yeah, Pringles have so many flavors. I can't get rid of that, and so do Doritos. So
I'm
Lay's.
with you. I would have picked Lay's too. I would have. Ruffles sour cream and cheddar is the greatest
So
chip
good.
ever made.
Yep.
Ever made, in my opinion. Okay, I'm with you on that. You did pretty good on this or that. You was
Thank
very
you.
decisive, lady. I like that. That was awesome.
I like what I like.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. I love asking this next question too, and that is, if it wasn't sports and acting that you are following as far as a career path, what career path would you have chosen and why?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, maybe I would be well, I guess I write right now. I'd say I'd be writing books, but I want to write a book, so I was going to do that anyway. I don't
Oh,
know. If we're getting out of the creative fields, I'd probably be like a therapist or something because I like to listen to people and help them and understand what they're going for. Again, human condition stuff. So that's probably
hmm.
if it's in a non-creative field, that's where I would go.
No wonder you're so good with bantering back and forth. You listen and then you pound, then you respond. I like that. That's pretty
Oh
good.
yeah.
No, that's
It's
really
the
awesome.
first rule of improv, yes and.
I
So,
feel that. You're
yeah.
right about that. That's very true. That's very true. Now that I think about that, you're right. I don't. You know what? I don't know what I would be. Man, I mean, theater. I would love to be a what you are, an actor. But at the same time, if I was to do something different, probably a veterinarian because I do love animals. I do love animals. Huge dog lover. Um, and pandas. Pandas are my favorite. So
So you'd either do the exotic pets or dogs. No in
yeah,
between.
no, no in between. No snakes, no lizards, no none of
I
that.
love
I ain't trying to do.
snakes. Snakes are cool.
Okay, well,
I would own
listen.
a snake, but I can't like I couldn't bring myself to feed it bugs and mice. I couldn't do it. So I love snakes, but I can't own one. I have two
I
cats.
feel it. I totally feel that. And listen, that means there's more snakes for you to love.
Correct.
Because I love them less. There's no question about it. There's no question. But yes, that's awesome. I love that. I want to ask you these top four questions. I have two top four questions. The first top four question is, what is a top four list of events that you would like to attend, cover, be at? That's SEC. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like there's certain matchups that you would like to go to and cover those particular matchups that you haven't been at.
yeah, I mean, I'll go expand outside of the SEC too. I would love to cover Ohio State, Michigan, the game. That would be an incredible experience. That rivalry runs deep. You saw what happened this past weekend with Michigan trying to plant their flag. Guys, you can't plant it in AstroTurf,
It was
but
nasty.
fights breaking out. Oh, it's crazy, but it's awesome. This is the environment we want. This is the passion we want.
Right.
Obviously, Alabama at Death Valley. Fighting against LSU, that is just an environment that is unmatched. So being there,
It
like,
was belt to you know what this past season with
yeah.
Alabama. It was belt to you know what.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
But
mm, mm.
that would be where I want to be. Like that just being in that. You don't want to wear anything that doesn't say LSU. You kind of want to keep yourself neutral just to stay safe out there. But
Sure,
that's a
sure.
great environment. Also going to Neyland in one of these big games. Maybe next year when UGA goes to Neyland, that would be a great game to go see
Yep.
and be a part of that environment. Maybe I'll get tickets for that. That'll be awesome. God, one other. Honestly, South Carolina, Clemson, that is a huge rivalry in South Carolina. And so going to
Mm.
that game, especially in Death Valley, that being there this past weekend would have been awesome. Blythe, our my co-host, was actually there and she thought it was
Oh, okay.
electric. You can talk to her about that. It was
I
awesome.
I certainly will.
Yeah.
You named a couple of them that I would go to, but the couple different ones, like Ohio State, Michigan was one you named. Also Georgia and Tennessee. Obviously, huge Bulldogs fan here, so I definitely want to go to that. But the one game that I would have said a couple years ago was definitely Oklahoma, Texas. Never been to a Cotton
Yeah.
Bowl type game. That would have been very sweet and nice to do. Now, what I would like to do, the game that I would definitely like to go to for sure, man, two games. Probably Iron Bowl game. I
Yeah,
would love to go to an Iron
great.
Bowl.
It's great, especially with Jordan Hair.
Mm,
You can't beat
Iron
it.
Bowl.
Or
Yeah.
Jordan, I have an Auburn girlfriend, and she's wonderful. We have our little rivalries, but yeah, she always is like, it's Jordan Hair, and I would say that's stupid. It's Jordan. That's our little banter back and forth between the two of us.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I would love to go to an Iron Bowl game. That would be amazing to do that. And then probably the other game that I would like to go to is USC Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Reggie Bush. I grew up watching Matt Leinart and those USC teams growing up in California. Because I actually grew up in California before I moved to Atlanta
Okay.
with my moms. So I remember those USC teams with those guys. And Notre Dame and Stanford was always big time, but Notre Dame was always the rival like that. So I would love to go to one of those for
Yeah.
sure to cover that.
There's so many good ones.
Now I want to ask you a top four outside of college football.
Hmm.
What is the top four of events that you would like to attend outside of college football that you would like to do? Doesn't have to be SEC, it can be any conference.
So do you mean like any sport whatsoever? Okay,
Yep.
I'd love to go to a March Madness game. I'm not a I love March Madness. I don't really watch basketball through the year, but March Madness is I love it. It just means so much more and it's electric every week. So I would love to go see a March Madness game, maybe even though in the Final Four would be really, really cool. I would love to go to the Stanley Cup final when it's either team could win final game. Whoever wins it wins it. They've played up into this point. Got to get that last win. That'd be awesome. And then obviously I'd love to see a Super Bowl. So I don't care which team. I'd love it for it to be Washington, but I don't care which team. And then I want to go see a game in Philly. And I know that's a hot take because people say it's scary there, but I want to experience their hostile environment for myself. Just any game.
No doubt about it. And I can attest to you. My aunt and uncle are from Philadelphia. So I have been to a Philadelphia game. And it is as hostile as it is. There's no
You know,
question
I
about
love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is my boy, so I'd love to go
it.
see him kill it in Philly. So
Just
I
not versus the Commanders. Just not versus them, right?
saw that, and they already did. They did us dirty already, but you know, Jaden wasn't feeling well, and he's finally like healed up a little bit. We played the
Hmm.
Titans. We're doing better now. Eagles
Right.
have to come to our home now. They have to face us. Granted, our stadiums are not full of our fans because our fans were in doubt for
Y'all got an old
years
stadium too.
now,
Y'all need that.
and we have an
Y'all
old
need that
stadium.
renovated.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a new one hopefully soon, and next year our stadiums are gonna be packed with Commanders fans because he's made us believe again. So yeah, I would love to go to a Philly game, just not when they're beating us. But we were in that game for a minute. We were holding
Yeah,
them for a
absolutely.
while, and then they
Oh
pulled
yeah,
away.
absolutely, no question about it. And like I said, I think you'll love that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Speaking of March Madness, I do believe that the Elite Eight is going to be coming to Georgia Tech this year.
Oh,
It's going to be coming
okay.
to Atlanta because I was
That's good to
looking at
know.
tickets to go. I was looking at tickets to go to that and go see my mom and my family.
Yeah,
But I also wanted to go there and see if I could see some games because I love college basketball to the core for sure.
yeah,
Not just basketball, period. So yes, they are having, I believe, they're one of the regions, the South region, is going to
yeah.
be in the Georgia either Tech or State Farm Arena, one of those two arenas where they.
Okay, cool. I'll get tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. You should, no doubt. If I see
Cool.
you there, please say what's up, no
There we
doubt.
go.
And then mine would probably be Super Bowl that you mentioned Stanley Cup, but that's probably an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do Olympics, the Olympics in 28.
Yeah. They're coming. They're
Yeah,
coming. Yeah.
that would be great in California, in
Hmm.
Los Angeles particularly. I would love to do that. So yeah, definitely the Olympics for sure. I want to ask you about some advice, right?
Okay.
We talked about advice that you gave someone, but what is some advice that someone gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Oh gosh. I mean, my mom always just says is I can think about everything. I'm a big planner. So I can think about everything in the world. And she's always like, just focus on step one and then eventually you'll get to step 12. So really just like be in the moment of where you are. Life is too short not to. And I know you want to keep yourself busy and you have so many obligations and you want to see your friends and you want to relax and there's a million and one things to do, but really just like live every moment to the fullest. I know it's cliche, but that's kind of where you have to like ground yourself every single day and know that even if something's not great right now, that door closed for a reason and another one's waiting for you. So just grounding yourself in every moment and every experience, and things are not as bad as you think they are. I mean, we are very privileged to be where we are in the world as it is. So just loving where we are and accepting everything else. So yeah. Not great.
Wow, shout out to Mama Wagner for the wonderful, great advice. That's amazing, no question. I'm a huge planner myself. That's why when I talk to you, I kind of book these things out 3 weeks in advance because I have to, because
That's how I
I'm just
am too, yeah.
I'm such a huge planner and I have a lot of different things going on. Obviously, what I told you with my job, you're busy, and also I do master school as well. So it's we really do have to like woosah and really
Yeah.
take in, and because we're always on a go, so we don't just realize, and sometimes have to just, just taking a moment, show some gratitude, be like, you know what, it's okay. We
Yep.
don't have to go from 1 to 5. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do that,
Correct. Correct.
right?
And
So
I have to
I'm
ground myself in that every day. So
absolutely no
process.
question. I wanna get some talk into maybe your game. Like we talked about a little bit about college football, but what is your game of the week? I said mine. Mine was Penn State, Oregon. I want to see how Oregon plays
Yeah.
against a really top notch to me defense in Penn State. The last time that they got into a shootout with the Big Ten rival was Ohio State, and Ohio State had the worst clock management I've ever seen in my life.
The
It
end
just
of
did
that game
not.
was crazy.
Right? Just it made no sense. They had a chance to beat Oregon in Oregon, clearly. But I digress. Oregon's undefeated. I want to see how Penn State matches up with Oregon. Talk to me about your game of the week upcoming with all these conference championship games.
Yeah, no, these are all great games. I love what you said about Penn State, Oregon. I am excited to see Penn State have this opportunity and see what they do with it. And like you said, Oregon, the team they really played was Ohio State, and that was an incredibly close game. So I do want to see how they shape out against Penn State. I do still think on paper Oregon is the stronger team, but we're gonna see on the day. Again, anything can happen any given day in college football, and that's why we love it. Um, I would say Texas, Georgia, but we've seen it and it doesn't really matter for playoffs. And anyway, it
It
just
doesn't.
matters about the bye week, which is more important to them than to me. As someone watching, because I know they're both going to be there at the end of the day. So my game is really that ACC championship game between SMU and Clemson. I want to see if Cade is able to ground himself in this fourth chance he's been given to lead his team to victory. I don't think he always makes the best decisions, but I also think he's a
Right.
really solid quarterback when he is a game manager and he can really get himself grounded in the game. He's also a great mobile quarterback when he chooses to be. Again, he is so hot and cold for me sometimes. He's amazing one day and then at other times he's not. And the running back Phil Maffa on that team. He's been battling an injury. So how healthy will he be? Will he be able to compete at his full capacity? Would be,
I have to.
yeah, another question I have. SMU has been playing, as we've seen, it looks stronger. They've had more solid wins. They've defeated common opponents at a greater margin than Clemson's been able to do. But I still think this game's going to be incredibly close, and this game obviously has a lot of implications for who is actually going to be in the playoff between SMU, Clemson, and Bama. Two of those teams will be getting in, and two will not.
Yep.
So or no, and one will not. And so that game is so important across the board. So is the Big 12 and the G5. It's whoever wins that game is in. There's not getting a second team from either one of those conferences. So those matter as well. But the game I'm really excited for and looking forward to see the result of is that ACC championship game, just because it does mean so much across the board in this year's playoffs.
It's also the last game of Saturday.
It sure
They put
is.
it there. Put it there for a reason.
Yep.
Last game of Saturday, while all conference championship games are done. But you mentioned something that was on my mind. That's been the inconsistency of the quarterback at Clemson.
Yeah.
He's just been like you said, Katy Perry, hot and cold.
Yeah.
You don't know which cage you're gonna get. And to me, he's gonna have to be phenomenal to beat this SMU team. For them to even have a chance to even
And
be
we've
talked
seen
about.
him do that. We've
We
seen him
have.
be phenomenal. So that's the thing. It's kind of like my problem with Carson Beck is Carson Beck shows so much greatness and then he throws 3 interceptions in a game and he turns the ball over on downs and he's garbage. So it's what is going on in the psyche of these QBs. And I really do think it's dependent on the defenses they play a lot of the time and also just whatever mental blockages that they're going through on that day, how they're able to read these defensive schemes, how their O-line's able to hold up front. So, I mean, there's a million and one things these players could be going through. And of course, everything goes back to what's going on at home. So you never know. But for both of these quarterbacks, Cade and
Carson.
Carson, two C names, Cade and Carson, they really just have to ground themselves in the game because they're fully capable of winning these big moments. Obviously, both are anchored by coaches who have been in these big moments, in these big games, know what they mean, know how to win them. So that is a huge plus. SMU does not have that. Texas, while they have gone to the Big 12 championship and while they've gone to the semifinals, they've never made it to that national championship level. Kirby has. Kirby has won the national championship. Dabo has won the national championship. You have these anchors who have won at the highest level. That is not a small thing. They know how to win. They've won multiple times, each of them. So having that is an incredible advantage across the board, especially in the big moments. I understand smaller games you may drop. Alabama dropped these smaller games, but Kalen DeBoer went to a national championship last year. Granted, it was a different conference, but he knows what that means and he knows how to get there and he knows how to perform in that moment. He didn't win, but he knows what it means and how to get there because he's done it. And so SMU, they don't have that. In Texas, they've been to the semis, but they didn't go to the Natty with Sark. So that is no small feat for these two teams having these coaches who have an incredible resume, not only as a head coach, but also as coordinators under Nick Saban. So, and same with Sark under Nick Saban. So it's a little coaching tree, but that's important. That's not a small thing. And that doesn't get talked about as much as what is actually going on in the fields, but that is something so important.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. I just hate the fact that Alabama's independent mode now because now they don't have any more games. So they have to be independent mode on based upon what's happening this weekend coming up. It's real simple for me for Clemson and Georgia to put a bow on it. They got to protect the ball. Carson
Yeah.
cannot put the ball in harm's way. When he does, the team looks less than average. When
Yeah.
he doesn't put the ball in harm's way, the team looks like a national champion. It's the same thing with Clemson. Clemson is very good when Cade protects the ball and he's able to do his dual threat thing of run and pass. When they don't have much of a running game, which last week showed South Carolina slowed them down, it slowed them down. And you can do that. SMU, yes. What scares me about them is what you said earlier, the fact that their strength of schedule is 77. It's
Yeah.
not very good, which means they haven't played really anybody that's really top tier, but they've been beating up on the lower tier teams.
Sure
This is
have.
probably going to be the best team that they faced all season long in Clemson. And I'm very excited about this matchup.
Yeah.
I am excited too, but I definitely want to see the Penn State and Oregon game, see how
Oh,
that
I'm
is
gonna
in.
watch them all for sure. But
I know
like
you
you
like
said,
that.
the ACC championship is at the end of the day. It's what everyone's really going to be tuning into, especially for those rankings the next day, Sunday at noon. So it's going to be very important. That game, especially all these other games. Yes, the Big 12 and the G5 championship means something to those conferences, but we know right now there are two teams contending in each one of those conferences, and one of them's getting in. There's no other questions there for me
Right.
or for anybody. So the ACC championship is really where the questions lie. So that's why
Right.
I'm really tuned in there.
Absolutely, no question. I want to ask this bonus one before I get to the rapid fire as we're coming close to the end of the podcast. But this bonus question is, I'm excited for them to announce the sites of where these potential playoff games are going to be at.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be here in Minnesota, which is crazy. I don't think they'll play in the cold like that, but do what are you excited for any potential like site game of where what site do you think that they should play at some of these playoff games, at least these quarterfinal first round playoff?
Yeah, well, they have them marked out, not the first round is going to be a home game for the highest ranked team. So that's why I'm really excited for what looks like to be Ohio State at home versus Tennessee. So Tennessee traveling up there to Ohio in a very cold environment, playing Ohio State at home. So that would be really, really, really cool to see. If Indiana had won and retained their home field advantage, they still might get one. I don't know how the final rankings will shake out, but I don't think so. Someone
I
going
don't.
to Indiana and playing in the snow would be cool. So these home game advantages are going to be so amazing, especially for the students that go to these colleges, because they're going to be able to see a playoff game in their backyard. There's going to be student ticket packages, so they'll be there in these big moments, and that's incredible, especially for fans of college football and students who pay to go to these schools. Most importantly, because it's all about the fans. Yes, nobody would care about the sport if you didn't have the fans and the rivalries and the passion. So that is amazing for me.
Sure.
And I think the quarterfinals, I know there's one at Mercedes-Benz. The national championship is also at Mercedes-Benz. Of course, we still have our Rose Bowl. They do have the stadiums marked out. I don't have them off the top of my head, but where each of these teams play is going to be interesting once you do get to that quarterfinal slot to see where everyone gets slated. Of course, you want to see the big teams in the Rose Bowl, so having a Texas play there, a Georgia play there would be amazing. So I do love seeing where these teams get slated, and it is going to be a question, but we won't know until they play the games, and then we're going to be like, okay,
Absolutely.
that's the biggest matchup, so that's going to the Rose Bowl. So yeah,
Yep. I feel that, and I'm hoping to get to Atlanta January 20th. That'd be great, which
yeah.
is the national championship game. So I'm hoping to get there for sure. I want to do some rapid fire with you, Emma, and
Oh,
you just go ahead and the first thing that comes to your mind, you go ahead and spit it out for me. Okay, so are you ready?
sounds good. Yep.
All right, here we go. Burgers or tacos?
Tacos,
Okay, chicken or ribs?
ribs,
Okay, waffles or pancakes?
waffles,
Favorite color?
blue.
Favorite TV show?
It's hard. Doctor Who?
Well, I just learned about Doctor Who last year.
Oh, that's funny. Are you watching
Yeah.
it?
Uh, no, but I definitely learned about it though. I did. I gave it a solid 23 minutes.
Okay, that's fair. Did you start with Eccleston? You might not have wanted to start with him.
I think I did start with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
don't
did.
start with him. That's very British leaning. They
Okay.
skew more towards the American audience later.
Okay. Listen, we'll talk offline. Give me some tips on where I should start.
I
Okay,
got you. I
let's do
got you. I
you
love
go.
Eccleston, but he's not for everybody.
I feel that. Yeah, I felt that too when I was watching it. No question. Favorite alcoholic drink?
Oh, I love a margarita.
Oh, okay. A lot of salt around the rim.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm a Hennessy person, so I love my
Yeah.
Hennessy. Very smooth, very good. Okay. If you had three people plus yourself, which means four, that you would take on a vacation, who would those three people be and where would you go?
My mom, my dad, and my brother. And we would,
Okay.
yeah, I'm a family person. And if I
I
got
love
two
it.
Carry-ons, my cats. I don't know. We'd go to Greece probably, Greece or Italy.
Oh, okay. No doubt, no doubt. If I'm supposed to go to Greece next June, so if I get there before you, I'll let you know about what it
Thank you.
is.
Yeah, give me a
Thank you.
review.
I certainly will. If you had three albums, I should say this: three artists or three songs that you would never get tired of listening to, you can listen to them on repeat. Who would those three artists or three songs be?
The Beatles,
Hmm.
um, The Clash, and I don't know, probably Oasis. Going back to the
Love it.
beginning. Yeah.
I love it. I love it, especially the Beatles. I mean, they got so many good hits with "Let It Be,"
Well,
"Yellow
they have
Submarine."
such a inventory of music with
Oh
such a
my
wide
God,
genre. So yeah.
you know some good music, girl. I like that. Okay, here we go. Favorite board game?
Jeez. I like Yahtzee. Does that count as a board?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, Yahtzee. I've never played it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, from what I heard though, it is a fun game, but I've never played it. So eventually, hopefully, one
Yeah,
day
get
I'll
on it,
learn.
get on it.
I got you. I got you. Okay. Favorite card game?
I like Phase 10, which is kind of a I don't know, a harder version of Gin Rummy or a game
Yep.
that kind of changes like Gin Rummy.
Yep. Yep. I'm definitely no spades or dominoes.
I like Dominoes.
Okay. Are you sure? You kind of
Yeah.
went light on me there. You sure? Okay.
I don't play either
Okay.
one a lot, but I like Dominoes when I do.
I feel it. I feel it. Okay. Um, if you had a choice and they said, Emma, you have to do one of these for the rest of your career, be an actress or be a sports host,
Oh,
which
that's
one would you be?
hard. Um, I'd probably say actress because I've been doing it longer. But I think they're very similar in the fact that one, we're in front of an audience, and two, we're telling stories. So it's kind of the same, except one kind of writes the script for you, or you follow a script, and then this one you watch the game and you come up with the story that just happened, or you experience the story that just happened, and then you retell it. So I mean, they're very, very similar. So. But I,
Hmm.
I like acting. I like stepping into different worlds.
I love that. I love that. And the last one, for the rapid fire that I would ask is if there if there was a dream, I would say scenario to where you are like covering, and we talked about you covering events, but there's like a dream scenario of like a sporting event. What would that dream scenario be?
I would be on college game day and I would be sitting next to Nick Saban and I'd be a host on that with Nick Saban. That'd be cool.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Love that. Love that. That's awesome. Emma, this has been a pretty dope conversation. Learn about you, learn about your acting, learn about your sessy stuff that you do, learn about all the different jobs that you do, and then learn about your background. Being coming from Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, Atlanta, Georgia, but
Yep.
also going to Alabama to the football school, being able to graduate there, and being able to do what you love in the actress and acting world, and also in the sports world. Is no wonder why you are so amazing at doing what you do because you're very passionate at it, and you're very good at articulating about it. And I love talking to you about sports. I feel like I could talk to you all day long about any sport. I want to say thank you for coming on my podcast. And
Thank you
my
for
final,
having me.
no question. And my final question to you is there anything else that you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
Oh gosh. I don't know about myself, but I like to do lots of things. I never put myself in a little corner of I'm doing this and this is my occupation for my life. I always try new things, do new things. And that keeps me fulfilled and happy and passionate and driven. And I think if you want to do something, do it. And I don't see why not. And it's hard and you're going to be tired and it's going to be a learning curve, but that's why you do it. And that's why you do things you love. It's not always easy, but at the end of the day, you'll feel very fulfilled. So life's too short to do something that you don't love. So do something you love. And I know it's easier said than done, but even if you're working a 9 to 5 that you don't love, when you get home, you can find something you love. If you want to stream and play Zelda and stream. So it's whatever you want to do. So just go and do it. So that's, I guess, it.
That sounds like you talking from experience.
Yes.
I feel you on that. That's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for hopping on my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. You and I would definitely be in touch since you are in one of my most favorite cities, which is in the A. And
Eh,
I would keep in touch with you and many blessings to you moving forward with your future endeavors.
go as well. Bye.